Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure to be with you for this presentation. I am so excited about Women Lead. I hope you are having a great time at this event. I can't imagine the energy in the room because I know that I am so excited to just be here, to just be a part of the flyer, to be a part of this moment. So I can't imagine what you may be experiencing as the first cohort to be a part of this, what I think will be an annual event. So I'm just going to jump right in to the presentation. Today, I will be talking about career, money, and finances. Career, money, and finances. So here are the presentation highlights. I'm going to talk a little bit about me, my brand story, how you can find your career path, jobs that are currently in high demand. This is important to know so you can kind of navigate where you want to go in life. That skills are transferable across all careers. So transferable skills that everyone should start to master. Resources for you, some hindsight things. So like me going back in hindsight to say, hey, what would I do differently? Now that I'm 32, looking back at my 12, 13 teenage year old self, getting money and building wealth. So, a little bit about me. I'm originally from Gregory County, Lutheran. I have a bachelor's degree in mathematical economics with finance. I always wanted to be a writer, which is crazy because, it's not what I do today. But I ended up as a project manager and a multi hyphenate. We'll get into that a little bit. Who writes? So writing has been a part of pretty much all that I do across my careers. When I was a business analyst, even as my coaching career, as a wife coach, bride coach. I've also done math tutoring. And all my internships, pretty much everything incorporated some degree of writing. And so it has been weave throughout everything. And I do have books, which again, and I'm married to my husband for me here in Delaware, where I moved with my husband in the middle of the pandemic, and two are back home in Nassau, Bahamas. And I didn't say my name, but my name is Zemi Stewart. Zemi, yes, like in social studies, Zemi Stewart. So my brand story, and I'll just make this a little bit bigger for you. So when I graduated college, I had a strong desire to teach. I really wanted to give back. My dad is a teacher, and so this was something that I really wanted to do. So I didn't end up teaching. I got a job in financial services as a junior portfolio manager. And so I decided to give back by tutoring. So I tutored for a long time. I tutored math and I loved it. I was able to give back, but then my schedule started to get more hectic and it's something I had to put to the side. After I got married in 2018, I wanted to help brides through the wedding planning process. I was really passionate about that and still am passionate about that. So I started Heaven Sent Her, which is a day of coordination business. It's still in operation, although not as much since I've moved to the US now. And then Wife Her, which also started shortly after I got married, is a ministry for women in transition. So it's called Wife Healed, Empowered, Restored. And that's a part of why I'm here today. And we just essentially help women in transition from being single to being married, career shifts, anything, any type of transition a woman can experience. We help her to do that. We believe that women should feel empowered. We pour out a lot. And so it's all about refueling and doing the self work necessary to be a healed woman, healed, empowered, and restored. And so all of these things are different. And this is not all that I've done. I've done some digital illustrations. I write on the blog. I do a lot of work with Wifer, from event planning and project execution, straight all the way down to like production. Everything is involved in that little baby. So I have here, it's okay to be multi-purposeful and multi-passionate. Just know you cannot do everything effectively at once. So you may say, oh, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. I don't know what I should do. And that is okay because it's great to have this massive skill set or these skills that you want to develop, but make sure you're prayerful about how you invest your time and know that you have time. You have time to express yourself. You can be a doctor, but you could also do this. You don't have to just be one thing, and that's a part of being a multi hyphenate. It's great if you're all one thing and you specialize in that, and that's your expertise. We call that being a subject matter expert. But if that's not the course you want to take, then don't feel pressured into feeling like you have to fit into a box. You don't. So across these are different outlets, but my purpose has been the same throughout. So I believe that my purpose is to help, to inspire. And I put it in my bio. If you see me on social media, it's called Born to Help, Born to Inspire. And so that's my purpose. That is why I feel like God created me to help people as a servant leader. And that is weaved throughout everything I do. I identify problems that even it's often that I experience myself, and I try to fill the gap. And you could do a similar thing. So don't feel like your purpose has to be this grand thing that God is going to drop into your lap. My purpose is simple: to help. And I weave that throughout everything that I do. And so let's move into finding your particular career path. So I have some questions here. What problem do I want to solve? And that's what I talked about just now. Identify problems in your community. And you could do that, in the street that you live in the Bahamas. There's a ton of problems that need help. Digitization, for example, anti-corruption measures. We can see streets that have potholes. All of these are problems, and you can solutionize. How can I help my country, or how can I help in this area? You may see a global problem, a regional problem. You're like, how can I be a solution? What are my skills, talents, strengths, and interests? So take an assessment of your skills, talents, strengths, and interests. What is it that I have to offer in my current state? What is it that I can build upon? What does my community or my country need? What jobs are in demand now and in the future? So you may be seeing jobs. A lot of the jobs that you see today actually will not exist eventually. Well, there'll be some jobs that will always be there, but there are some jobs also that have not been created yet. And some things will therefore be obsolete, especially as we move into an artificial intelligence world. We may not need a human to do this particular thing anymore, where a computer can do that. But the downside is, for us as humans, is we have to be smarter. We have to upskill in ways that we didn't have to before. So that's the trade-off we get as technology advances. It requires us to advance as well. What level of education is required? If you want to be a seamstress, you only need a straight, I think, I don't know exactly what it's called, but you'd go to maybe a hands-on school. You learn that. Sometimes you don't even have to at all. Some people learn from YouTube University, but if you really want to be skilled, you get formal training. If you want to be a doctor, you have a longer length of time. So you have to think about what level of education is required. And don't just think about it in terms of, oh, I don't want to spend that much time in school, because that's an approach I took, and I still ended up being in school that length of time. So I didn't want to be a doctor because I'm like, I'll be in school for 10 years. I still ended up being in school for 10 years for a different reason. It had to do with triumphs and difficulties that I faced, but I still ended up being in school for 10 years. So don't make superficial decisions, use wisdom. And then, what is my earning potential? I wouldn't tell you to determine a career path based on what you're going to earn, but I don't think it should be prioritized highly, but it should be something that you do consider. What is my earning potential over the course of this career choice? And most importantly, and I think you should leave with this question: what does God want you to do? Because you will be most happy and most fulfilled doing what it is that God wants you to do. No doubt about it. I always ask God to lead me in my career choices. Let me get headhunted. You put me where you want to put me. I ended up being a business analyst after being a junior portfolio manager. They're not related. And then being a project manager in the US. All of it was God ordering my steps, Him putting me where He needed to put me, and me doing the work to make sure that I was fit for the position by training, upskilling, etc. So lead with that question: Lord, what is that you want me to do? What is it that you want me to do? I feel strongly as a child, and I still do today, that God wanted me to be a writer. And for me, that looks like as simple as Instagram captions to blogs to presentations like this. It's all writing. So don't put God in a box, but also lead with that question: what does God want me to do? Believe, achieve, succeed. I have a quote here: find out what you like doing best and get someone to pay you for doing it. Isn't that simple? That is the simplest strategy ever. What is it that I like to do? And we often overlook what it is that we're good at. I overlooked being a writer or having a natural knack for that. So I decided, hey, I'm not going into journalism. I'm not going into anything that is cookie cutter for wanting to be a writer. Um, but I missed an opportunity to flourish in a field because it would have come naturally to me. Sometimes we overlook the skills that are so natural. You may think, oh, I'm naturally gifted in the sciences. I don't even have to study for that, and you often overlook that skill set. Or I put presentations together so easily, you overlook what it is that you're really good at. And that could be an area that you could monetize. If you're really good at presentations, someone will pay you for that. Trust me, someone will pay you for that. You more so be in the administrative lane, but someone will pay you just for your presentation skills. That is a skill set. So don't overlook the things that seem small. Or you braid hair really fast. People pay tons of money. You know how much these braiders get paid today? I think it's like $300 a head. And if you're really fast and you could cut down your hours, you can make some really good money in a week. You just have to pace yourself, because your hands and the pain over time and your back and stuff like that. But don't overlook the small things, the things that you're naturally good at, because there's something there and you can tap into that. Jobs that are in high demand. Jobs that are in high demand. Compliance jobs, so anti-money laundering, data science, auditors, lawyers. These will continue to be in high demand, especially as we move into a more advanced society. We need people doing the markers and checkers. We need people who have the knowledge to keep everything intact. We need people to oversee. This is going to be super important. I don't see it going away in the next 10 to 15 years. Skilled laborers, the trained masons, electricians, plumbers, HVAC technicians, and going on and on and on and on. We need the skilled laborers. Even in the pandemic, people who did, not obviously when we were locked in our homes, but people still wanted to get their waxes. They still needed to have their facials done. They still were interested in doing that. And then people still needed to build. People still needed people to come in and do electrician work. These are skills. These are called hands-on skilled jobs, where we normally call them trade professions, that are in demand in recession and not in recession. And you can take a look yourself as we enter into this. I don't want to say a full-on recession, but we'll see. But you take a look. And as people get more pinched for money, what are they going to be leaning into? Do they still want to get their hair done? Or are they not going to get their hair done? You try to see it, what jobs are recession proof, so to speak. So we know like jobs in tourism aren't necessarily recession proof, because if people don't have money, they aren't necessarily traveling, right? So you take a look and you make an assessment and you let me know what you think is a recession proof career. Medical and healthcare, specialized doctors and nurses, these are in demand globally. Globally, we need doctors and nurses. It's global. And also other individuals in the health profession as well, medics, etc. Big data. And you're going to hear this term a lot, especially as you advance in your university lives. Data scientists, database managers, data analysts, data entry, IT project managers, and on and on and on. Big data is going to be a hot topic. I mean, it probably is a hot topic for you now, even in high school, I'm not sure, but definitely as you get into university, it's going to be a term that you hear a lot. Technology, software developers, app developers, business analysts, IT project managers, like I just said, UX, which is user experience, and UI, which is user interface, designers, writers. There's so many opportunities, even technical writers who write out the help manuals. Like, that is a full-time job. When you look at a car and they have a manual, that's somebody's job to create that manual. When a phone comes with a manual, that was somebody's job to create that. The words that apps have, so you may overlook it, but how an app speaks to you and interacts with you, that's somebody's job. So there are a ton of ways that you can leverage your skills, and very exciting ways as well. Educators, specialized, well-trained educators across all levels. We're always going to need teachers. We're always going to need people to train the next generation. Design, if you have a knack for design, and you're even going to need this in your personal lives as you show up on social media, where it moves more and more into video content. Graphic designers, infographic designers, UX designers, like I just talked about, web designers, etc., where these skill sets are gonna come into play. And then engineers, civil, electrical, environmental. We are always going to need engineers. These people help to make society run, not just in bridges and electronics, but like these, we need the engineers, right? We need people who are going into these different paths. So don't think that I don't need to go out there and assess these careers, like really assess these careers. And I think a lot of people say, oh, I want to be a gamer, or I want to be an influencer. When the world needs you, maybe to be a nurse, or the world needs you to be a teacher, or the world needs you to be a painter, or the world needs you to just do something else. Don't pigeonhole yourself into what you think everyone else is doing or where you see all the money going. Really take time to assess, where is it that I need to be? What is it that's going to make me feel fulfilled? What is it that God has purposed me to do here? Another quote here from Walt Disney: if you can dream it, you can do it. So the job that you really want to do, you may not see it yet. You may not see anyone in that lane, but that is where you need to be. You create a lane, and there's so many opportunities in the Bahamas for you to be the one to create that lane, just like they're doing now with cryptocurrency and blockchain. They created a lane. They created a lane, and you can do the same thing. Key skills for any career. These are skills that you can leverage across any single career, even in your relationships, your one-on-one relationships with people. Communication. If you have a desire to be a wife one day, communication is going to be the number one skill that you need. Contrary to popular opinion, communication, networking skills, the ability to form relationships with people, emotional intelligence, to be self-aware of your emotions, to keep your emotions in check, and also to assess the emotions of others. So it's a blend of empathy and your self-awareness and how you react to people's reactions. That's going to be very important, especially in our politically correct society. You're going to have emotional intelligence. Attention to detail, double checking your work. Your teachers try to instill this in you now, and it's a reason for that, because it's a life skill that you need. Customer service. We always complain in the Bahamas about the customer service that's linked to the attitude, that's linked to the swift of speed to do work, that's linked to how much you love what it is that you do. So customer service is a big one. Leadership skills, the ability to influence, the ability to persuade, the ability to motivate, the ability to inspire. Leadership skills are very important. Management skills, not just your work, but yourself, your time. Management skills, how you manage others, is also very important. Planning, very, very important skill for how you plan your day, how you plan your work, how you plan the work of others if it comes to a point where you are a manager. Research skills, project management skills. So I'm a project manager, and those skills you can use across any fields, literally. So project management skills, how to bring a project to completion, to get the right people involved, to get the right people at the table, to make sure things are completed on time, within budget, etc. Self-management, organization, being a self-starter. So a lot of what I do is I have to manage my own time. I don't have someone over my shoulder telling me da, 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 right? So you have to be able to manage your own time to get things done, to not be here slacking on your phone, like having to tell you, do this, do this, do this. Practice now while you're in high school to complete the work that you have to do without your parents having to come and tell you, hey, have you done your homework? You make sure that you're on top of your homework, because you are developing a life skill. Being teachable, making sure that you're coachable, you're flexible. You don't think I've arrived, I know everything, but instead you realize that I still have more to learn. There's always room for growth. I'm in my 30s now, and there's always room for growth. In fact, I feel as if I'm learning so much more now. I have so much more to learn because of the stage that I'm at. So there's always room to grow and improve. So don't think that you've arrived. Don't think that you know everything. Don't think that people can't teach you anything. There's always room for growth. Analysis skills, that's the ability to assess. We talked about big data, and those analysis skills are going to be important. And then, of course, problem solving skills, analyzing different scenarios. So you have multiple options, and you have to choose between those options to select, to make a decision on a path to take. Problem solving. So you have to assess options. So all of these are important skills for you. Moving into software that everyone should know. Microsoft Office is like ABCs now on the job. They just expect you to know these things. That's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, which is email. The others is network, netbooks, no, sorry, notes, Publisher, SharePoint, Skype, Yelp, etc. They're not as asked for as although SharePoint is, but definitely Word. You have to know how to use Microsoft Word. Excel, it's like the building blocks of what you need to do. I think back in the day, it was like, do you have a typing speed of whatever number? But now people expect you to know these things off the bat. And in fact, I don't even think they're going to be on job descriptions soon because it's just going to be assumed that you know them. And so moving into others, so I more and more and more, especially in the industry that I'm in, financial services, and across other spectrums as well, people want you to have knowledge of programming languages because of the data analysis skills. So Excel, like I said, is one of the founding building blocks. It's like your ABCs. Now they want you to have more advanced skills. So some buzzwords for you: Python, Java, HTML, CSS. So these are programming languages you can look up on your own time. You have the summer months ahead of you. You could go on Coursera. I'll talk about that in a slide coming up. You can learn one of these for free, and you have a skill set that you learn for free. You can take an Excel course and advance your Excel skills. HTML is more so with web. These are skills that you will have, and no one can take them away from you. You're just going to make sure that you stay up to date on them. But it's important for you to develop these skills, and you have the time. You could take a couple weeks out of the summer, at your leisure, at your own pace. You can learn a programming language, or at least the basics to programming. So like I just said, learn for free, Coursera.com. You can decide to take courses for free. Udemy, Khan Academy, DataCamp, edX, TED, and YouTube. You can just Google topics and learn over the course of the summer. Do not waste any time. Do not waste any time. There's always a little something that you can learn. Even if you decide, hey, I'm going to read a book on emotional intelligence, or I'm going to read a book on being a good leader. There's always room for growth, and you will be so much better because of it. And these are just some takeaways that I wanted to leave you with as well. Don't be afraid to start small. There's nothing wrong with gaining experience by doing free or discounted work. A lot of people want to get rich so quick these days. But in the beginning with my bridal business, I only did free, and I learned so much. And people can't really complain because they got free help, right? So you get to learn without a lot of the pressure. You still want to execute well, but you get to learn without the pressure of like, oh, I got to live up to this dollar standard. Never stop learning. That's a key for me. Focus and consistency will take you places hustling can't. Focus and consistency will take you places hustling can't. Remain teachable. Give with pure motives. Ask God to direct your path. I call this living a Proverbs 3 verse 5 and 6 lifestyle. He has never steered anyone wrong. And then attitude matters. Attitude matters. Women who lead well have a great attitude. Attitude certainly does matter. Now, I put this in here and I thought it would be fun to talk about this. If I could go back in time, what is it that I would do differently? So I made a lot of mistakes in my growth process. So I have these on in any particular order. So let me go with what I feel is number one. I would give my life to the Lord sooner and stick with it. So I did fall away and come back to the faith. But I would say give my life to the Lord and stick with it, because the Lord, giving my life to God, changed my life. It transformed my life from what it used to be. And I wouldn't be here today if I had not made that decision. So that is number one for me. Prioritize my foundation over a relationship. So making sure I have my degree set up, my career set up. You don't have to worry about, being in relationship, because people, they can wait. They can wait. Make sure you have a solid foundation. Make sure you have a solid foundation. And I used to hear it so much. Don't chase the man, get your education. And then all of a sudden, I found myself heartbroken over a relationship and I couldn't focus. And so definitely, I would say prioritize your education, your foundation over a relationship. Put a sturdy foundation under you, because relationships are going to be there. Who is for you, and they'll be there when you're done. Learn a trade. I wish I could go back in time and maybe study like makeup artistry, hair braiding, be an esthetician, During the summer months, like, it would be a couple dollars and maybe a little bit of an expense at one point, but I think it would be worth the investment, especially makeup. Those are skills that you could use even for your own self. You could save yourself between $60 to $90 every time you have a special event. And so, hair braiding, you could use that in university, make some extra money. Same with makeup artistry, being an esthetician. And you kind of recession proof yourself because you have so many skills. So definitely, I would have used more time to pick up a trade of some sort. And then take coding classes more seriously. So I did take coding in university, but I was like, when am I going to use this? I'm not a software engineer. When am I going to use this? And I actually learned Python about 10 years ago. And I'm like, when am I going to use this? Right. And so turns out now my job is saying, hey, we want you guys to learn Python. I would have already known it if I had paid attention. And so going back in time, these are things that I would do differently. And I hope that you could take something from this and maybe decide to choose a different route. You'll hear Zemi in your ear telling you, don't pursue that relationship right now. Focus on your education. You may hear me in your ear. So I pray the Lord directs you accordingly and that you live a life that you could look back on and smile, knowing that you did the right choice. You made the right choices. Getting money. So I asked Deshay what the lunch money was like now. She said it's between $7 to $10. So a day. And I hope, I don't know what your financial situation may be. It may be more than this, it may be less than this, but this is just an example for you. You can run the numbers yourself. So if you get $10 a day for lunch, try to save $2 a day. So that would be $10 a week. That's 2 times 5. So that's $10 a week. And there are 52 weeks a year. So that is 52 times $10, which is $520 a year. By the time you graduate high school, assuming most of you are like 13, 14, and maybe you have 3 more years of high school, you could have up to $1,500 that you can use to help you get settled in university or fund a small business. That's good money. And it just starts with $10 a week. $10 a week could give you a nice little kickstart for university. So I think I had about $1,800 that I was able to put towards my jumpstart in university. I was able to buy a laptop and some furnishings for my dorm room. And it really helped, for my transition so that you can have a stake in the game to say, hey, I brought something to the table too. So definitely, start small, whatever you can do. If it's $5 a week that you can set aside, it all adds up and it all will make a difference for you one day. And you get in the habit of saving, which will be good for later. Some other tips on building wealth: open a bank account, but watch out for the fees. So I say open a bank account because your money is relatively safe there versus being in your home in a drawer. Mommy come in and borrow a couple dollars, brother come in, borrow a couple dollars, and next thing you know, all the money is gone, right? So opening a bank account, but you have to watch for the fees. So sometimes the fees don't make it worth it. So if it is safe for you to keep your couple dollars at home, like this is a small amount of money up to that $1,500 amount, and if you could, you can do that and open a bank account maybe when you get enough money to cover the monthly fees. So if they say you need $100 in the bank to avoid the fees, make sure you can keep $100 minimum in the bank so you can avoid the fees. But definitely watch out for that. Tithe and give. Even millionaires who do not believe in God have a principle of giving. We as Christians, we tithe. That means we give our 10% to the Lord. And then we also give generously to others above and beyond that 10%. So you give 10% of what you earn back to the Lord. Save for a rainy day. And there are a ton of rainy days ahead as we may be proceeding towards a recession, or when I say recession, I mean a time of hardship financially, globally, or at least from the U.S. And if it happens in the U.S., it trickles to the Bahamas. Spend less than you make. Live within your means. Borrow wisely, if at all. And as you guys grow up in particular, there's more ways that you can borrow than what I would have to combat when I was in university. So when I started university, maybe they would have tried to give me a credit card. Now you guys have Afterpay and all these breakup things too, but they are essentially putting you in debt. And yes, you could afford 5 things in Afterpay when you split the payment in 4. You could afford a ton of things, but when you start and have to pay the other payments, it may be a burden to you. And a lot of people who are, especially in the public service in the Bahamas, they get so many discounts and so many deals and so many payment plans, but they're never able to catch up because it's just so much levied against you. So don't fall for that trap. Borrow wisely and always take an assessment of where you are. Even subscriptions, always review your subscriptions. Make sure you're not overextending yourself. And finally, let's stay in touch. Let's stay in touch. Let me see if I can move me over a little bit. So my email is my first and last name, zemmystewart@gmail.com. My website is Wife Her Ministry, or my first and last name, zemmystewart.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Zemmy Stewart, or follow the ministry at Wife Her Ministry. I'll be happy to connect with you and to know that you watched me give this presentation. I wish I could be there with you in person, but maybe one day I can be. And I told Deshay that everyone who is watching this can get a free copy of my ebook, Pretty Pennies, A Beginner's Guide to Finances. And you can learn those basics, those borrowing wisely skills, ways to save. I have some saving trackers in there, so you can get that as a free resource. This was a great time. I was so happy to be here with you all. All the best as you journey through WomenLead, and have an awesome day. Bye.